they knew. My mother used to always say, show me your company and I'll tell you who you are.
Oh, right? God, it's like listening to my mother.
And in those days...
That is real mammy speak, and I absolutely agree with that. That's your Irish mother, and I think any other mothers speaking.
But that's what's wrong with Irish fellas, they're Irish mothers.
Well, no, I think, well, some of us are. Well, I don't have sons, I suppose. I can't comment on that, but I think, you know, for instance, Facebook have some restriction up to 13. You're not allowed to be on Facebook up to 13, and then between 13 and 18.
Generation.
Yeah, they are actually, But I think, for instance, you know, I think being my daughter's friend on Facebook is certainly
but that doesn't work. You can't be a friend of your son or daughter.
Communicate to your child.
Of course you can, but I think there has to be that boundary.
Yeah, but Alan, in fairness, it does. What Facebook and Bebo and all those social networking sites do is they kind of extend the realms of parenting. You have to stick your nose in.
Too much time on your hands to be going.
I guarantee, Alan, when your kids get to that age, you will be the first man to lunge in with both feet. They can't. There are too many influences across the internet now. I mean, there's people preying on it. There's paedophilia. There's also these suicide pact groups, which
are also security packages that you can get for computers that will prevent your children.
But there's also a lot of bullying going on, especially on mobile phones. True. And I think it's important that parents know where they're going with kids. In the past, you know, I was reared, as I said, my mother knew my friends. You don't know the friends through texting, and you don't know the friends.
Okay, Adrian, are we becoming overprotective of our children?
I think so. I think, you know, the question I'd say to everyone is, does behaviour not reflect society? I don't think we can blame technology, whether it's a mobile phone or whether it's Facebook. All of us as parents want to teach our kids to do the right thing. And if they're going to misbehave, they'll misbehave whether it's sending a rude text message or whether it's their behaviour in public. So I think you've got to have confidence in them. And the reason I say it is, it's impossible to police it effectively. You'll drive it underground. It's the parents who say, little Johnny never goes out, so he climbs out the bedroom window.
You know, I think you're a long way from policing and expecting your kids to behave in a certain way and saying, give us a look at that now and we'll see what so-and-so is saying.
I was a rogue when I was a young fellow. You probably were as well. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, I learned how to take up and down the dining room window without any noise.
But on that, the reason why I think it's a responsibility for parents to pry into their kids' Facebooks is because when you get to 13, you shut down. Hanging out with your parents, talking to your parents, relating to your parents. Unless you have an incredibly good relationship, it takes a 5-year sabbatical. You're not interested until you're 18 again. So on Facebook, it's an accurate reflection of what actually... But it's true. It's an accurate reflection of what's actually going on in your kids' lives. So if you're clever, not overly political correct, and a shrewd parent, you'll dive right in.
Well, both you ladies have mature children at this stage. Did you, Helen, go through that period of, Mum, I don't want to talk to you, you're not cool, you're not hip, communication just shut down?
Absolutely, and it's horrendous.
How do you overcome it?
You try every device known to man or woman.
It's more difficult with girls or boys?
I think it is more difficult with girls, but there are ways and means, and I'm certainly not going to tell you what I did.
No, but
in case they find out.
How difficult is it for a parent to try and continue with good parenting skills, but yet making sure that your daughter or your son is okay and is going through life trying to deal with a difficult period in their life?
But you know, once a friend of ours once said, sometimes all you can do is love them, and sometimes that's all you can do. I remember going through a period where I couldn't talk to my daughter face to face. She didn't, you know, she just wouldn't do that.
Did she hate you?
No, we sat in the car. And she talked to me then, because she wasn't looking at me. As so many of my friends will say that. Stick them in the car beside you, and you're going along, and it's not about them, it's not about you. You're just there, and you're listening to what they're saying. It's utterly amazing. I never would have thought sitting in the driver's seat of my car with my daughter beside me would be a method of parenting. Never thought that in my life, but it did work. She said stuff then that, and you know this thing about having quality time with your kids where you're sitting down talking to them? No, you don't. They want you around so they can kind of occasionally get fed, get clean clothes, and also to just know that you're there for them. You know, that's a dreadful way of putting it. But you know, that you're around, and if they need something, especially money. But you know, if you have some decent kind of relationship with them, it's not about them telling you all of their secrets. It's about you being there if they need help.
Okay, Mairead, how do you deal with a teenager who clearly is desperate for help but doesn't want to go looking for help from you as a parent, for example? How do you overcome that?
It hasn't, you know, in my tree now, it hasn't happened so far. And I couldn't agree with Helen more. The car is wonderful. The car, even after a journey, and you turn off the engine and you just sit there and they're talking, and you do not be in a rush to get out of the car, no matter what has to be said. I've my son, the idea, I want to bring him back to UCD often from home down in West Limerick, and the idea of being stuck in the car with his mum for 3 hours is just something he's not prepared to take, you know. But how do you, it's trying to talk, but I think, you see, parents, you know, you think you're a parent when you've got like a small baby, and then you're a different kind of parent to the under 5s. Then all of a sudden they start to get independent and going out, and you're a different parent again. And then you hit these teenage years, and it's you that has to learn how to make the adjustments. You have to be there. And that's where I agree with Helen. You have to be there. You can't just, you know, they're different people. They're trying to find their own way in life. And you have to be there for them. And I think if you are, you'll get through it.
Will Twitter be the new car, I wonder?
Maybe
possibly.
There's nothing deep. Look, at Twitter can never. Like, one of the things I think people are telling me that, you know, people in their 20s, their relationships break up a lot quicker now because everything is through texting. Like, will you meet me? Yeah, whatever. And you can't see the body language.
Exactly.
You can't see the
my
expression.
exact point. I remember, and I got to wrap this, but I got an email from an individual in this organisation that sat about 7 feet away from me, and I said, "Is that what we've come to? That this individual couldn't come to my desk and have a conversation with me?" He sent an email. Anyway, 1530 99 99 33. Text us MD, followed by your message to 53131. Don't go away. We're back after the break. Anyway, welcome back. Call us now, 1530 99 99 33. We do our best to air as many of those calls as possible. Don't forget, if you want to text us, you can do that. MD, followed by your message to 53131. Let's go to some of those calls now.
I've just got a dose of swine flu. I have an underlying neurological disorder, which is quite serious, and I've got slight asthmatic and allergies, but I've got over it because I didn't panic. I didn't go near the doctor. I rang the doctor and got advice, and I stayed away from my mother, who's in a nursing home, and I stayed in bed for a couple of days and basically got over the serious symptoms, which are horrendous, but they can be dealt with if you just keep your head.
Would you ask that lady, that young lad that came back on the plane from Ibiza, was he put in isolation on the plane? And what about the people that were on the other people that were on the plane? And also, she seems to be more concerned about her family and his family than the people on the plane.
I'm a special needs assistant in a primary school in Dublin, and it's a comment with regards to the swine flu and hygiene. There is no hot water for the children to wash their hands, let alone soap provided. So I actually think there'll be a major problem if the children return to school, and there'll be, unless they bring better hygiene practices in. And I doubt we're the only school in the country that don't supply hot water and soap for the children.
I have a 16-year-old daughter who's constantly on Facebook and Bebo, and my problem is I had her when I was 16, so I'm really sick now that she's on this. I've already tried not hack into her account, but I've already set up another account to try and add her as a friend to see does she fall for that, so I could get in and see who she's talking to, but she knew it was me. So I've resigned myself to the fact that I have to trust her, and hopefully nothing happens. But it is a big worry, especially with, you know, older people out there preying on younger people, and she's not the most streetwise of 16-year-olds. So how do you get over that?
Right, deal with the guy on the plane first with swine flu.
I don't know, because it wasn't confirmed whether he had swine flu or not at the time.
Perhaps he should have told the authorities.
Well, I'm sure he did. But I don't know what the airline's policy is with regards to somebody that has flu symptoms getting on a flight.
Apparently there was a case last week where Air France refused 2 people who had flu symptoms to get on the flight. So I think they certainly are aware of it and they're acting on it.
I don't know what Ryanair or Link's
I think it's
policy
confusion though, again.
Yeah.
There's no consistency across Europe generally, never mind just in Ireland.
There was a lot